way, and we are far from the promised land of perfection. So we're going to take it again from the bridge in this time.
Hey. Hey, everybody, how are you? Hey, Miss Pope. What's y'all tea? Did y'all watch? I know you watched the Pope. You was singing, child. So I know you was watching, honey. Clark Sisters Wear It Out. Hey, Mr. Niles, how are you? Right. I know all the singing heads and church heads was watching, baby. But it looked like everybody was watching. It was kind of it was trending. Everybody's name was trending. Oh yeah, it was the bomb. Yes, it was, and I loved it. There were certain things that I was like, okay, we'll get into that. Hey, Coco, how are you, baby? They were getting in, baby. All right, so if you are in here, thumbs up. If you are not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. Get my hand sanitizer. Y'all know Corona out here, and I had to go get me some snacks. Oh, hey, thank you. I couldn't finish it due to a power outage. Oh, is it back? Is your power back on? Thank you, CL. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I put a little dust on, you know. Since I was bored in the house, social distancing, sometimes you gotta play in them brushes. Ew. Baby, my when did my lights go out? Something happened where my lights went out. Um, they went out at like 12 o'clock at night, and they didn't come back and get them back on until like 6 in the morning. But something was strange because it was something was happening where I was like, this is not the time to fucking cut the lights out. It was something going on where we needed our lights on. And it was just scary to be in the dark. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How is everybody doing? Did everybody watch? Hey Ty, how are you? Did you watch it? Was you watching the Clark Sisters, girl? Hey YB. Hey Anna, we're gonna give people time to get in. I hope y'all watched it. So who is y'all favorite character? So if you are just tuning in, we are talking about the amazing, glorious Clark sisters. They are, global legends. They are from Detroit, Midwest girls. I'm a Midwest girl. So I grew up listening to them. They are a part of anybody who grew up in the culture church like I did. You know the Clark sisters. Um, hey, Kiana, is that how you say it? I think that's Kiana. Um, hey, Kiana. Um, we grew up listening to the Clark sisters. Um, I think the first time that I really registered like a song by the Clarks was when their song was on one of those CDs, those gospel CDs that come on late at night when they're trying to sell you a CDs back in like the 90s. And it was You Brother Sunshine. They didn't play the whole song, just that one little chorus part. And it would, how the CDs be rolling up, the different titles in the CDs. It'd be like a compilation. Am I telling my age? And it was the different songs on the CDs will roll up, and they'll play different tracks from the songs as it scrolls up, honey. And it was one of their songs, and it was just You Brought the Sunshine, You Brought the Sunshine. And then when I really dug deep into them was when I heard Finally Karen. Finally Karen really, I had heard Clark Sisters songs, but when I got into them was when I got into Finally Karen and them nightly quick concerts, yes. And so Finally Karen really, 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 really just rushed me in. I wanted to really go back and study what they had did, and because Twinkie had wrote songs on the album, I was like, let me go see the history and see who inspired these people. And, I knew they was from Detroit. And, Detroit is something in the water when it comes to singing. Aretha from Detroit, Smokey Robinson from Detroit. There's a lot of people from Detroit that can blow the house down. So yes. So I was really captivated by them and been listening to them religiously, quote unquote, favorite. Finally Karen was my shit. But I also liked, Dorinda. When Dorinda's Campbell, I am still here. It's by the grace of God. Woo! Go in. When I look back over my life and I see all the things. Make me go in. Come on. God's done for me. Woo, praise the Lord. Who else? What other songs? You know what? That Live in Charlotte by Twinkie. Ooh, pray for the USA. Pray. What else song did I live for? What was the Live in Charlotte album with Twinkie? God. God, I can't think of the song. She has a bunch of singers. Of course, Endow Me. Endow me, Lord, Lord. But it's a fast one. What's the fast one? It's a fast one. I can't remember it. She was wearing it out. But yes, I live for that one. And what else? And then, when she got sick and she did, when Karen got sick and she did the Second Chance album, Tabernacle was my shit. Tabernacle and something else off the album I liked. Tabernacle was my favorite because it was more like a worship song. And it was one of those classic, not opera. Favor. Which one was on Favor? God's Favor? What album was that? God's Favor. God's Favor. Was that on her album? I thought that was on Tri-City Singers album. Was that on Second Chance? I can't remember. Anyway, so let's talk about the movie. Let's see. So thank you. So let's talk about, to me, the movie was really paying homage, of course, is the dedication at the end was to her, but to their mother, and really to show you the legacy that she had within the church, within the, particularly the Kojic sector, the Kojic denomination of the church. So Maddie Moss is not only the the Joe Jackson of the Clark sisters' legacy. She really pushed them to be excellent, as she said. Ain't it easy, but just good. We excellent. Really pushed them to be excellent. But her own personal kind of stamp is, when we hear choirs do the 3-part harmony, like when we saw, what's that old song? I come that you might have life more abundantly. I come that you might have life to eternity. Did not come to get in the world or shame me for your wrong, but I come here to make you out into the angel heart of so. I come to give you life. I come to give you joy. Those kind of songs where you hear separation in notes with sopranos, altos, and tenors, when you hear them singing, not singing like that, that is Maddie Moss's legacy. She's the one that got the choirs to learn it out like that. Endow Me is my favorite Twinkie song. Yes. I don't think it's a fast song on that same album. Well, that's an old Clark Sister song, but on the album that they did that on Live in Charlotte, there's a faster song on that album that I love. But I'm gonna find it because we ain't about to. Is it? I think it's Worship, not Worship the King. I do like Worship the King, but not Worship the King. It is. Let me look at this track. Jesus saves, sanctify me in the precious blood of the Lamb. Oh. Yes, it's Jesus Saves. That's my favorite song on that album. Because it's fast and up tempo, and she does all kinds of stuff. That classic Twinkie stuff with her voice. Yes. Let me see. Joy. That's Maddie Moss's legacy. Anytime you hear that, that's Maddie Moss. So how do y'all feel about when parents are your managers? Like, first, when parents kind of push their kids like to be excellent and kind of are hard on them, and because we see a lot of examples like this, that when you say, "Are you a dude or a girl?" No offense, you're asking an offensive question. Just even if you say no offense, it's rude, and so I'm going to, like, my whole channel is about being trans. So stop being an asshole. That's not something you would ask anybody, dummy. So back to what we were talking about. So yes. So how do y'all feel about people being, hard on their kids to get them to strive for excellence? So we have people like Joe Jackson, who was really, really hard on the Jackson 5. You got people like, we haven't heard the ugly side of it, but, Beyonce's father was really, that kind of parent. Who else? Maddie Moss Clark. How do y'all feel about parents? Do y'all think that is you can't really say that it doesn't work because some of the look at who we talk about. We talk about Michael Jackson. We're talking about Beyonce. We're talking about the Clark sisters. Like they're the top of their game. Like they're the top of like who is like the Clark sisters in the gospel world? Like in regards to like girl groups, we have or who haven't been inspired them. You got like Kimora now, but of course she was inspired by our Clark sisters. She went her own way, but there's nobody at what cost. That's true. It is a cost, but does the cost outweigh the gain? Because look at maybe. Look at Cissy Houston and Whitney Houston. She was really hard on Whitney, but then it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword because the other side of Whitney, her work side, her excellent musical side, got her to unreachable heights, but then it also cost her, her sanity, her and really looking for something else to fulfill you. And that could be drugs, that could be a marriage to somebody who is problematic. It could be, and then you have Michael Jackson who allegedly molesting little boys, which I personally believe, but I know some of his fans don't. And then him just being just weird like he is. Then you have who else? We haven't seen it in Beyonce yet. We don't know what's gonna happen, but it seemed like it's a little. She had enough strength to get out of her own and fire her daddy. Like, this is ruining our relationship. Just be my daddy. I don't need you to be my manager. Just be my daddy now. And then she found her husband and went on about her business and doing her own thing. So it might be some balance in regards to that. Yeah, it seems like it's always a negative side. I would love to see someone who is positive, but we probably don't know them because we only going to be listening and talking to the messy ones. And right, they still haven't reconciled with Denise. Not at all. My thing about the Denise storyline, and what was funny to me is when that dude was trying to flirt with Dorinda in the choir. I was saying on my Twitter, I was like, it's really, we always, the Bible and the story is the women is always the tempters. They always the temptress. They always being seductive, da da da. But in my experience, when I was in the church, it was always the niggas who was trying to tempt you with their sinful penises. They the ones who, it was up to the woman to say no, and I'm not gonna do nothing, and blah 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 blah. But the dudes didn't think about that. Like they didn't seem like they had that same type of pressure. But that's kind of living in a patriarchal world. It seemed like the dudes were always the one who were tempting. And if a girl, gave in to the temptation, she was the one that was shamed. She was the one that was down at the church. When it was whole men in the church, like men that was going around fucking girls in the church, they never was kicked out of the church. They never was, when you knew about them having sex with people, they never was shamed and given talk to and, let's have a meeting with her. Put her fast tail in her place. I never saw that in the church that I was at. I saw girls going through that, but I didn't see men or boys going through, definitely not men, or going through that at all. They'll give them maybe a little talking to, but it'll almost be, you boy, you silly. You just boys being boys. Don't do that. That's not how you supposed to act when you say. But it still will be a undercurrent of boys will be boys. That ain't what you supposed to do. But it used to be shit like that I would see as a little boy growing up in the culture church. Maddie wasn't playing with Twinkie. All of them, for real, for real. Yeah, she should do one on Leaving Neverland. I don't. I've talked about Leaving Neverland on my podcast. I wouldn't do a show, just because it's old. I didn't have my channel then. They didn't reinstate my channel back then, and it's old. And you know, I really don't care. The nigga did. I think Twinkie had low self-esteem. She was really easily controlled by her mother and husband. I think, yeah, I can agree with that. I think that women are bred to be controlled. Like, I feel like they are raised to be controlled. You listen to your mama and your father. You listen to your husband. You follow what they're not reared to be independent, and I'm talking about in the context of church. If people are raising their daughters like that, it's out of context. Like, it's out of the norm. Like, think about it, that you follow the household rules that your mother and your father, and if she's a Christian woman, the father is the head and the lead. And then you go get married, and then your husband is the lead. Like, really going out and controlling your life and what you do ain't really, and it's the context in the world too. It ain't just just the church, but I just think it's worse in the church. Yeah, Maddie wasn't perfect either. She was kind of manipulative. Yeah. Being in the house, I do think she was living vicariously through her children. Absolutely. I think she was living vicariously through her children. That's one thing. But also, sometimes you get so deep into a particular culture that for you is no turning back. And so what Maddie Moss Clark was to the Kojic community, she was too high up to fall. Like, it would have been shameful to fall. Like, she had worked so hard to get to that position in the national Kojic stage. You feel what I'm saying? Hey, Rob. That sometimes, think about if Obama, this is really extreme. But if Obama wanted to do something funky, like, I don't know I can't give you an example, but something funky with his life, it's almost, he has put himself in a position that he couldn't do it because he represents more than just him. And so the pressure of sticking to that representation, sometimes people, because that is a part of their identity, they have put themselves on this pedestal for good and bad reasons, that is a part of their identity now. And vanity stops you from wanting to crush that. And sometimes that is a part of who you are. Like, Obama is the perfect example. I felt like it went too fast. The end felt rushed, Ty. The end felt rushed. Like, when they got to explaining all of their different struggles as they got older, like, how did Dorinda get to the point? There was no build to Dorinda getting to the point of jumping off a bridge. Now, I've heard the story because I follow them and I've listened to countless interviews, so I know the story, but on the movie, it didn't go into details of how she got to the point where she was suicidal. Because based on the story, you got married, you was living with your mom, y'all had money, y'all winning Grammys. You know what I'm saying? It's like, not winning Grammys, they hadn't won a Grammy by then. But you know what I'm saying? Y'all have a successful life. What led you to suicide? Like, what got you to that? Somebody was new to the story. That end part was absolutely rushed. I really would want to know, because this wasn't explained, what happened in Maddie's first marriage. That was a lot of men's, honey, compared to, especially if they in the church that deep and they're getting judged that deep. Her first marriage, because Jackie wasn't a Clark. I would like to know what happened in that. There's a lot of things that I would like to know. Choose a brand. There's a Maddie Moss sound. Maddie Style was preaching. Yeah, she was there. Yeah. Yeah, she's what you see Dorinda doing. That's what she gave. But when does ministry begin and business end? It is a ministry or is it business? That's a good question. And I think a lot of churches fail in, and then because we are in a very sadistic, capitalistic society, think about this COVID-19 shit. Look at how many people are upselling masks, how many people are, just really trying to be really shady about profiting off of this. And there are some things that I see churches do and church people do that to me is capitalistic when it comes to the business of church. When it comes to like now, like think about now. It was a time in the Black community where the church was a financial support system for its community. There was a time when you could go to the church if you were having financial struggles. The church that you were a part of or the church that was in your community, you could go into the church and say, I need some help with my light bill this month. I couldn't make ends meet. I can pay my rent, but I really need some help with my light bill. And the church would step in and give you some coins. I don't see or hear about that. I'm sure somebody's out there doing something. I don't think that it's totally gone, but I don't hear and see people talking about the church like they would help them. Like they could go in and get some financial help. But the church don't mind asking people for coins. They don't mind asking people for their tithes. And there's some really, really strict rules. Like I've been to a church where when you walk in, they got this card for you and you got to fill out your credit card number and shit. Like when you get into that weird, you ain't paid your dues, so you can't participate in this. You ain't paid your tithes. It just feel weird to me. It feels whack. It feels shady. It's just crazy. Yeah, like I'm a customer. Exactly. Yeah, I don't like that. So it's hard. For me, it just doesn't seem like anybody is winning when it comes to balancing capitalism and spirituality and your dedication to God. It seems like sometimes you're more dedicated to money and profit than it is you're dedicated to that. And I can't say that that's what the Clark sisters do because I don't know their business dealings or anything like that. But I know that the church as a whole has a problem with that. The church fed kids. Yes. You remember Ty? Me and Ty from the same city. So remember Ty, when we was little, we used to go to the Karen place, bitch. They would bring the bus into our neighborhoods and take us and we would eat meals. We would get candy. We would play church stuff. I remember on 16th and Central, that little place where you can go in every Saturday and get breakfast and get like soup or breakfast or something to eat, just right there across the street from Kroger. That little church right there, we used to go in there all the time because you grew up in Dodge City. So I know, right, that church right there on 16th and 16th and Central. They would bring us food. They would let us come in and get food. Like the churches used to do shit that, that I don't see it anymore. I don't hear them talking about it. I don't hear people talking about, oh, well, I'm going to go to my church for help. It's always, every time I go into a church or hear church people, it's almost shameful. It's almost like they're putting on airs. They go to church to put and say that they're blessed. They used to go to church and say, it's like they're putting on airs. Like they can't come to church and be in need. They have to say, oh, I'm doing all right. You feel what I'm saying? Does that make sense, y'all? I don't know. It's like I'm going to show off. Like I'm going, and it's not necessarily show off, but I'm not there to show my vulnerability. I'm not there to show that I'm in need. And her wanting freedom. And why does freedom always include fucking? I want your freedom to include. Why couldn't your freedom include still being saved? But girl, I don't want to sing. I want to be out here having fun, but I'm not fucking raw dogging. And it's not judging Denise, but it's out. Why when we talk about like Fantasia's story, remember when she got kicked out of the church? It seems like the classic story is the girl going out here being fast. Where's the story where she wasn't being fast, she just didn't want to sing? You feel what I'm saying? She wasn't being fast, she just didn't want to sing. Or I left and honey, she literally had I don't know. That feel weird. And the Karen place was the only time I felt welcome in a church setting. I can't say that it was the only time I felt welcome in a church setting. In my youth, yes. Well, no. In my youth, I felt welcome. I didn't have problems in the church until I transitioned. That's when it started to be weird. For some church people, the church is like a club for them to show off and put on sometimes. Yeah. And be more saved than the other people. I'm living right. And some people just go to church and they just live their life. They go to church and then come home and their validation is outside of church. But there's some people who their validation is in church. They are the ministers of music. They are the treasurer. There is a certain power that comes with being in the church for them. And it's a part of their identity. It's a part of their, their validation in the world. And losing that could be very, very, very detrimental to some people. I've seen some people who fell from grace in the church and they didn't know what to do. Because that's all from the time I remember this little boy, from the time I remember when he was like 5 or 6, they were letting him preach. Knowing this little boy don't know nothing, but he's getting up, reciting the Bible, and doing it in the way that he saw church people doing. And glory, hallelujah. And this is like a 5, 6-year-old where you like, oh boy, you ain't got no anointing. But they're letting him preach and everybody like, yeah, and lead and giving him praise. In the same way, remember, how you hear singers say, I sung that one solo in church, or I sung that one solo in my school play, or I did this one thing, or actor saying I did this one thing, and I did the reaction from the crowd made me want to do this. I knew that this was my calling. I knew this was my dream. I wanted this. And I think that there's some people in a church that get that kind of crowd fanfare, that get that fanfare from the church, and it becomes a part of their identity. So they're good at pretending to be saved. They know the scriptures to quote. They know the connections to make. They know how to perform church. They know how to perform saved, but they ain't really saved. And so he was doing all this shit in the background, and honey, he fell from grace, and it almost like he went crazy until he found himself in some other shit. But it was a part of his identity. Right, mimicking the pastor. Um, and Coco, it's not, my thing is this, it's not, there need to be a separation of your business and your church business. Like if you out here and you making money in doing other things and you built yourself up to where you live in a wealthy, amazing life and invested in these things, great. So it's not that I think you should be poor if you're a pastor, because you could have skills in other arenas outside of church that brings money in. So I don't think you should be poor, but it's hard for me to think that your ministry is legit if your congregation, a dedicated person in the congregation, or your community. I don't think your congregation is the only people that you should be helping. If your community, if you're not doing things for a community, I can't trust that your ministry is, if you're not feeding the hungry, if you're not doing the basic Christian shit. That's weird to me. So tell me this. So Twinkie making the song that was You Brought the Sunshine, and it was being played. I watched their Unsung the other night, and they were saying that it was being played in like Studio 54. It was getting played in clubs. Like people were offering them to perform certain places, and it just blew up. That was their hot song. But the church folks was saying, and this seems like so doesn't make sense to me. How does this make sense? The church folks were saying that your music is not holy if the secular world is listening to your music. And it didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for them to not look at that and say, what are you talking about? The Bible talks about us going out into the land and bringing people to Christ. Like the job of a Christian is to convert people to Christ, to spread the good news. I don't understand why somebody listening to your music, if it's about Christ, if the songs are about Christ, we not twerking. No, I'm not talking about I'm twerking for Jesus. I don't understand that. That's silly. But if the lyrics it really was just a musical reggae beat, but the lyrics was the same kind of lyrics. And so for me, I don't think the songs were. I don't think it was of the world. Like that's what I mean. You don't need to. I don't think their music was of the world. Like it's different if you're going out here. Like you hear some of these artists who purposely change their songs, like to make it more secular pop. Like so what's that? So I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when my life is so cloudy. Guide me until I'm sure I open up my heart. That song, if you listen to it, it doesn't say too much extra churchy shit. Like it ain't saying Jesus that much. It ain't saying that song was a beautiful gospel song because it was on Yolanda Adams' album. So but it's kind of weird when they purposely don't add those names, don't add Jesus in the song. This is gonna be something that's crossover. That's when it seems like it's of the world to me. When you purposely take Jesus out of it, purposely take God, that's a beautiful song, absolutely. But when you purposely take Jesus out of it so it can be more secular, that's when it gets into problematic to me. That's my judgment of it. If you get into that where you're taking Jesus out of it, taking God out of it, so it can be more crossover, that's a problem. Yes, it was a hit. Exactly. Because that song, amazingly beautiful song, but they were intentionally making it more secular, but not putting those words in it. Does it make sense? To me, you shouldn't profit from ministry. I don't think. I wouldn't agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I just think, I just feel like you can profit from ministry, but what are you doing with those profits? Those profits should sow back into your ministry. It shouldn't be so you can go buy a $67 million private jet. No, it should sow back into your ministry in a legit way. Like I think you can. I think that there can be a balance. I think it can, and I think if you this world, if you live in capitalism, then it comes with the territory. You have to pay. If you have a church building, you have to pay lights. You have to pay property taxes. Well, not property taxes. No, no, no. You have to pay lights. You have to pay for the place, the mortgage for the building, for the property, not taxed. But the things that keep the lights on, the business of a church, the upkeep of the building, that shit costs money, and you got to pay somebody to come do that stuff. But I'm talking about if I'm a singer, I think singers should be paid. I think anytime, like people who play the organ, uh, if they're like Twinkie, she plays the organ, she plays instruments. If I'm coming to your church and my job is to play the music, that's my job. I should be getting paid. And if I feel like my musicality is my anointing from God, then I should be getting paid. I know tons of musicians that get paid, drummers, organists that go church to church to church getting paid for the work that they're doing. So I think that is a job. Like I know tons of musicians that do that. And so for me to say they shouldn't profit off their skills, I don't know. I think that's weird. I don't think they should. I think they should profit off their skills. I think that is a part of their ministry, and I think they should profit off their ministry. Um, if you're a singer and your ministry is music, I think when you come traveling to churches and performing at these churches, I think that you should get some kind of honorarium. There should be some type of benefit. Now that money should go to me. What you do with that money is, I think it should be certain things. It should be going to your bills. It should be going to, your livelihood. But it also should be getting your ministry bigger and out to more people. How can you do that? You know, that's what I think. Um, so how did y'all think about? So what did y'all think about Denise? Because she wanted her freedom, but she ended up having 7 kids. There's nothing wrong with having a bunch of kids. Not, if you're taking care of them, oh well. But I always feel like church folks are always balancing, compromising, battling patriarchy and misogyny in the church system, in the church governance, how the governance plays out. Look at when they were reprimanding Maddie for singing with her kids singing with her kids at the Grammys. Everybody on that board were men. It just feels uncomfortable for me. It feels like, I don't know. If I was a cisgender woman and I was what the scriptures say and what they're, but that's misogynistic. That just feels with that. And then some of the things that's being said, like when he told her that ambition doesn't look good on her, when they were reading her, call it, and, you know, kind of dismissing her, and she had to turn around and say, you know what, I got something to say. Let me tell you how I feel. And I just felt weird about that. Pastors shouldn't be paid to do ministry. They should get a job. So I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I think there should be a the church a business, and it takes it can be a full-time job depending on the size of your church. And so just going to get a job may not be that easy. Hey, Powder Pink, thank you. She's a minister and being considered for doctor like her mom. Yes. I don't know. I can't. I don't agree with that. I think that you can be paid. It should not be. It's like nonprofit. It's like, I think people who run nonprofits, the structure of it should not. There should be a salary involved. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm getting paid, oh, this amount of money. It should be a reasonable salary for the work that's being done. And that's what it is. And I think that's what it should be. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm making $250,000 a year as my salary. That's when it gets weird. You know, I feel like you should have a basic salary. Yeah, they definitely abuse it. Pastors can't do both. Pastors do home visits, hospital visits, council members. It's a full-time job. Yes. If they're doing pastoring right, it is a full-time job. So I haven't, you're right. I don't have a problem with them getting paid. I have a problem with them being gluttonous about money and greed and that type of stuff. I think they should live a comfortable life. If they're doing the work in their community, if they're doing the work in their congregation, I think that they should live a comfortable life. You know, that's what it is. Is it expected of pastors to live as Jesus and Abraham? I'm not for sure. You talk about misogyny, but it's hard to take you serious when your breasts are hanging out. If my I have a dress on, so if my breast distracts you enough to where you can't hear what I'm saying, and if you seeing breast, if I'm not talking about sexuality, if you seeing them makes you think I'm not serious based on what I'm talking about, that's actually not my problem. That's your problem. And that's actually misogyny. Like minimizing what I'm talking about, who I am, my intelligence, my seriousness, just because you are infatuated by seeing breast on somebody's body. Exactly. That is a misogynistic mindset. Like, I'm sitting here, this is it's really strange. But anyway. um yeah, I don't think that I don't think a pastor should not live in its community. I think if you're a pastor, wherever your church is, that's a community you should be living in. To me, I think it's called, what is it called? A parsonage, a patronage, where the house is next to the church. Yeah, that's what you should be doing. That's where you should be at. Did y'all see Tweaky's man push her mama? That was crazy. I would have been, baby, as soon as he got to, first of all, I told your motherfucking ass to go outside and stay outside while I'm talking to my mama. And then you coming in and get to pushing and shoving and push her down, baby. Especially when I grew up in a house where the man was beating on my mama and my sisters. Ain't no way I'm gonna be leaving the house with this nigga and he just pushed my mama. We about to beat your ass. That's number one. But I'm definitely not about to go to no whole other state. I'm definitely not about to go to some whole other state with some nigga that pushed my mama down. You doing too damn much and you're doing too much. That was the part of the movie I was like, bitch, you tried it. Yeah, Twinkie's man pushed her mama down on the steps. Joel Osteen has a house in his church in a compound. That's a big ass church. It's huge. Just his location is expensive. And he didn't have a job. That's definitely what you take from the movie. You don't take nothing else. These niggas, you don't marry no niggas with no job. That don't have a job. No. They need to already have jobs. Because they're not ready to propose if they don't have a place for you to stay. If they don't, if this is, this is me. If you believe in marriage, I'm not a person that's gonna fuck with that. But if you're a person that believe in marriage, you are not ready to marry somebody. To me, if you're a man, you are not ready to marry somebody if you don't have a place to live with them, if you don't have a job to take care of things. I just don't think that you're ready to be married. And begging her for her coins. You thought you had, what it sounded like is you thought you had a cash cow. So you tried to creep in on the most vulnerable, low self-esteem Clark sister. And child, I didn't feel that. And I also think that's the double-edged sword of a parent or a household like Maddie Moss. Because what it is you are making it easier for people like that to come in and swoop in. If you are this hard pressed, tough as nails thing, you feel what I'm saying? If you're this hard pressed, tough as nails thing, to me, somebody coming in being nice, being sweet, even if they're not genuine, it makes the girls more vulnerable to be that person. You still have to pay the people who help your mission. You still need to be able to pay for your mission support. And you should be able to support support yourself non egregiously. I think that's what we said. um yeah. I think there are people who need to be paid in ministry. That goes back to the other conversation. Now I can't wait to see the rest of this movie. Is there supposed to be a part two? Yeah, nonprofit definitely don't mean no gain. Maddie was a domineering woman. Yes, she was. But she really kept calling Twinkie a little girl. So who was your favorite character on the show? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Who was your favorite character and who was your favorite actress? Who was really acting? Definitely Maddie Mouse. Um, Angelou Ellis, she was playing that part. Yeah, Maddie, she was playing that part. I liked her acting. Her acting was making me feel it, especially during that scene when she was talking to the church officials. Definitely had to be. It had to be her. Had to be her, and it had to be. I guess my secondary. If I had to pick out of the sisters, it was probably Karen. Just because Karen. Dorinda kept saying corny ass shit. She was the she. If them saying the script, if they said they wrote the script. If they wrote the script, and this is some. I actually didn't like um um Dorinda's response to Niecy. Yeah, she, yeah, she was the actress. She was acting. I didn't like Dorinda's responses to the Niecy situation. I didn't like it. Yeah, hers was more judgy than all the rest of them. To me, like Karen and Twinkie and them was like, mama ain't gonna like this. The church ain't gonna like this. It was not as judgy. It was more as, we gonna get in trouble for this. But Dorinda's responses were much like, you disgust me. Like it was more judgy to me than the rest of the girls. And maybe that was me, but I don't know. I didn't like that. But Anjanou definitely wore it out. As far as them singing, what was some numbers that y'all listened to in the movie that they sound like? Oh my God, y'all sound like Clarks. They all can sing, of course, but I want to know like what song that y'all was like, ooh, y'all did good on that. And what about costuming, hair? Like, did the costume and hair people do good in depicting the different eras? Did y'all get that vibe? Did y'all I didn't like hair. I didn't like hair because I can see they were trying to go for that Jerry curl look, but they didn't get it. Nothing to lose. Yeah. Nothing to lose. Um, what else? I didn't like that they didn't have the classic Detroit hairs. There was but the hairstyles between the late 80s and like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, late 90s, the 90s. I wanted to see some classic Detroit hair They didn't give me any of that. I mean, I'm talking about that hair that looked like they used, honey, pump it up. You know, I need some French rolls. I need some freeze strips. I need some freeze curls. Um, I need some pump it up, stack to the moon, freeze curls with some, you know, I need some 90s salt and pepper pushing cuts. Yes, exactly. I need some 90s. And Detroit was like black hair capital during these decades. It wasn't just regular black hair. This was the black hair capital. So the cuts was nasty. The styling was fresh. It just was on point. And so I would have loved to see that. Some French rolls, them wigs wasn't doing it for me. I need pump it up spritz, baby. Like it was honey frozen from spritz and hot Marcel's. That's what I wanted to see. Waterfall stacks. Yes, roller set ponytails. Yes, all of that. I needed all of that during that era, and I didn't get it. They did give me the flips, like towards the beginning of their career. They did give me the flips and, you know, the 70s look. I was feeling that. The chiffon dresses, I was feeling that. I didn't like when they were trying to do the jerry curls. Didn't like that. But that I didn't like any of that. Any of those particular things. I did like how they styled Maddie Moss. She was giving everything that I needed, baby. That pearl collar, baby. At that Kojic convention, baby, that pearl collar gave me everything that I need. Pearl collar. What else? Yeah. I loved how they dressed Maddie Moss. That was on point. Them glasses was giving me all that. They got Jackie right at the end. Yeah, with them wigs and them two-tone short wigs. Yeah, they got Jackie right at the end. Yes, they didn't have Dorinda right. You don't see Dorinda without some type of blonde streak. She gonna have a, you know, just like Karen gonna give you an all the way blonde. Dorinda may not give you she sometimes will, but she ain't never gonna give you a jet black. Dorinda ain't gonna give you no full jet black like this. That ain't her normal tea. She gonna give you some kind of color in that hair. It may be dark, you know. Karen is the one that's gonna give you a nasty red, a nasty a nasty color and cut. Ooh, I live with when Karen was doing that red, that orangey red, bitch. Ooh, Karen was looking beat during that time. She was rocking. I wasn't for sure if they were trying to make the hair look more churchy or what they were going for. I just want you to make it look more Clark Sisters. Give me what Clark Sisters were. You know, that's what I wanted to see. Give me Clark Sisters. They were giving me $20, $25 shake and go bag wigs. I didn't feel that. All the time. Yes, absolutely. But I'm like, it's Lifetime. How is Lifetime not having the budget? They done pushed out the R. Kelly shit. They done, you know how it's Lifetime. They've been around for a long time. They should have some type of budget. Did y'all see the preview for Salt and Pepper? That looks like it's gonna be boring. I wasn't as disappointed in this as much as I was disappointed in other stuff. I really never watch Lifetime's little movie specials. I never really watch them, but this is Clark Sister, so I had to. Had to do what I had to do. The only one they got right is TLC. And apparently, the way Pebbles was talking, honey, they didn't get that right. Pebbles said, no, ma'am. I feel like they push out several movies a year. No, it wasn't Tyler Perry-ish. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. And that's another thing that I liked about how they depicted Maddie Boss Clark. They depicted her as there were some negative sides to her, but they also didn't depict her as always going down, like being super, super hard. She did give them some loving tenderness in moments. Like when Denise said that she was pregnant, they thought that she was gonna go off, but she didn't go off. She was like, "Girl, put your dress on. Come on." And her being playful and smiling and happy. She wasn't just mean all the time. I did enjoy that. Yeah, the Fantasia one, I didn't like that one. That was weird. Who else? I thought this would be disappointing and boring, but I can't wait to watch the rest of it. I was enjoying. Yeah, I was not bored. I watched the whole way through. I did not. I was the acting right in the beginning. I was like, but then it started getting better over time. Yeah, Ingenue did that. I enjoyed it. It was just very fast for me. It didn't start getting fast to the end. Like when you start getting to their own personal stories, they really told more tea about Maddie. When you got into their own personal stories, they didn't give the tea. They didn't give the tea like was them down R. Kelly documentaries. Oh Lord. Hey Azul, how are you? No problem. Running in people's lives. That's weird. Who else would y'all want to see a Lifetime movie about that's Black that they haven't done? Everybody was really watching that Unsung with Betty Wright. I'm surprised that was. I don't know if I'm surprised. Am I surprised? I'm not surprised about it, but when they did the Unsung with Betty Wright, that yeah, I don't like we've done. I feel like they told us all the tea. Like even the girls who weren't like the girls who were kicked out, they told T like we know the tea about it. I just wouldn't want to see that. Betty Davis, white Betty Davis. The DeBarge family. Yeah, I could see that. I would love to see Patty. Yeah, I would love to see Patty. Minnie Riperton. No, she married a white man. It's a shady. Betty Davis. Who am I? Betty Davis. Is that the one that was married to Miles? That was married to Miles Davis? The 70s funk lady? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. I don't know enough about her to be interested, but I will watch it. I heard she was a badass. I heard she was more she was before her time. That's what they always say. I think I heard some songs. Prince. Prince got a little problematic, and I stopped liking Prince towards the end of his life. Mariah Carey. Um, Mariah Carey is boring to me. Mariah Carey is boring. I don't know. She just seems boring. I don't find her interesting at all. She's boring. When I watch her in interviews, when I watch her mingle with her people, I'll be like, I like her music, um, some stuff. We wouldn't get the full truth from Mariah. No, I don't think we would get the full truth from anybody. Really, I live for Mariah's music. Karen Steffens. Mariah married a billionaire at 19. Yeah, because he wanted her to be the next Whitney, and that was a business move. No, yeah, superhead. Her sister's a drug addict. Yeah, Janet Jackson. Anita Baker is an arrogant auntie. I don't live for her personality. I don't think it's boring. Yeah, I don't know if I would. Um, Sarah Rector, is that Sarah Rector? Who's Sarah Rector? Is that the background singer? I don't want to see nothing about no Braxtons. The Braxton family values is a duck for me. Um, I do not want to see nothing about Mary. I wouldn't. Um, you know who life I want to know? Gams. Jada Pickett mama. I want to know her life. She ain't a singer, but I would kind of want to know it. Yeah, the Braxtons, I wouldn't. We know we got too much tea on them. I would want to see Naomi if she would get down in the mess. If she would get down in the mess of her shady side, in the mess of the shade that was going on, I would, you know, I would want to be that person. Mm. Yeah, I will. I'm trying to think. I can't think of somebody that they haven't done. Maybe Kimora Simmons. Yeah, I did listen to was it Unsung? I don't know what I watched with Minnie Riperton. It was interesting, but once she married that white dude, I didn't like it no more. um, who else? Um, my ex, you wouldn't want to hear about my ex. He just went to prison, and now he's a boring ass lame working in Indianapolis. He's nobody. uh, what else? Gail. Gail, Oprah's friend, Gail has some funny stuff happen. Gail has some funny stuff happen. She married, her wife was cheating on her with her friend, and Oprah clocked it. Three, four exes. I only have four exes in my life. Yeah, I think it's weird when people insinuate that Gail and Oprah are lesbians. I think that's kind of weird. I think it's like it's a projection that I think is kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's misogynoir. I don't know. Like friends can't be close, but this is somebody who has long term close friends, and so it's weird when people insinuate they're lesbians. That's weird to me. I think so too. If somebody would fund it. Hmm. Yeah, my 20s were eventful. My early life, it was just, trauma and stupid shit. But my 20s were a little less trauma and more drama. My 20s were a little less trauma and more drama. Fun, the good kind of drama. My 30s were quite boring. My 30s were boring as fuck, actually. And I'm 39, and I'll be 40 next year. So we'll hope for some excitement for my 40s. But my 30s was quite boring. But my 20s were, like most people, fun. How often do you work on your book? I do like a chapter a month. I know that's slow, but I do like a chapter a month. Well, no, no, not really. Yeah, it just depends. It depends on how busy the month is. It depends on what's going on. Like if I'm like now, I've been kind of working through stuff, not doing. I'm because of how I write. I'm not a I can't. I have probably got some kind of form of ADD where I just can't sit and write without being distracted on other stuff. So I have to. It's a slow process. I wished that I had a transcriber. I wish that I had somebody who could record me and write it as I talk, because I'm easier at telling stories than actually writing it down. Um, I know that, but writing it in a novel style, because telling a story is different than writing a story. Because writing, you have to give details, you have to explain certain things. And telling a story is just you have to. The story is you got to have a point, and getting to the point, and that. Um, yeah, but they're expensive, and I'm broke. Can you do a recap video of your past? Like what do you mean? Like what specifically? Because I have a lot. You can't skip your prom experience or group home experience. Yeah, I have a bunch of but I have a bunch of videos on that. Like I have videos on that already. I didn't talk about I didn't talk about my escort experience. I didn't talk about I didn't talk about my relationship with Keenan, because I actually started YouTube when I was in a relationship with him. So it never got to me telling that story because I was doing it. But I would want that to be with a group of people. I wouldn't want that to just to be me. Like do a series where I bring other escorts in and we talk about a specific type of client. Like we talk about like dominatrix and clients that want to be dominated. And then Yeah, I mean, I could work that out. I could flesh that out and see, but I wouldn't want to do it just by myself. What else? Let me think. Why did I say my 30s? My 30s was boring because I didn't do anything. My 30s was boring because I wasn't in relationships. I had one relationship in my 30s, and it didn't last long. It lasted about 6 months. And the video with the guy in the video, the Angry Birds video, I was with him for like 6 months. We messed around for years, but being together in a relationship, we was in together for like 6 months, and I left him. Um, so I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't escorting. I stopped escorting in '09. Um, so I don't have escort stories. I literally just went to work. What about? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Ty. I was only with him for 6 months. We had a long relationship, but as friends and fuck buddies. But the actual relationship was oh, you're talking about Denethan. Not oh, you said D. I'm thinking J. So Denethan has been in a bunch of my videos. Denethan was in my Denny's video, like when we was at Denny's. Um, Denethan has been in a few. Y'all seen Denethan. Denethan, me and Denethan have never been in a relationship. So I don't even consider him. That's the witchcraft one, DeMarcus. Um, yeah, the tall one. We've never been in a relationship. We just have sex sometimes. We go to movies, we go to dinner, we celebrate each other's birthday together. He is a two things. Denethan doesn't have the intelligence that I would need to be in a relationship. That's first of all. That's first and foremost. But also, he's not ready for that. He still is a mama's boy. His mama knows me and she knows my tea, and and we still do our thing, but we're not in a relationship. I wouldn't be in a relationship with him. Yeah, but the two main things is that he's not ready to be in a relationship with a trans woman. Um, he is just doesn't have the intelligence. He's too slow. He's too regular in the brain. I can't deal with it. Tony Newman is doing fine. She was the executive director of an organization, excuse me, in San Francisco, and she just stepped down maybe like a month ago. Um, she just stepped down like a month ago, but she's doing well. She went on to another position, but I haven't looked into her business like that, because the last time I talked to Tony was when we did the interview. So we're not. It's no shade. It's just we don't know each other, and you know, we we're out of each other's age range. Yes, like, share, and subscribe. Um, yeah, I just Denethan's just me and Denethan have been messing around for a long time. I met Denethan in '09. So yes, I've been dealing with Denethan for like 10 years. God damn. Yes. I've been dealing with Denethan. We still hang out. Denethan is I use Denethan for a certain thing. So I use Denethan for okay, so sometimes I don't want to hang out with my homegirls. I want the comfort of a man, baby. And I want to go out and do something, not just sex. Like, ooh, I want to have sex. No, he's Denethan is 6'5". Denethan is really, really affectionate. He is kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy. When you're in places with Denethan, Denethan, you know how you want your man to treat you in public? Denethan is naturally good at that. Like how he engages with a woman is publicly is perfect. Like, I mean, like when we're in the club, like I only go to straight clubs with Denethan. First of all, because I can wear my heels because he's 6'5", and I ain't gonna be 6'5" when I put on some heels. So I'm gonna always be shorter than him. And in his situation, in our situation, like Denethan, when we go places, he treats me like his girlfriend, like his wife. For real. And so I don't have to pay for anything. He pays for all the drinks. Who is that position? So I can go to a straight club and feel safe because he's a big ass nigga. Because he's huggy and kissy, niggas don't try to come up and holler at me because they think that I'm with my man. So I can actually go to the straight club and get my life and not have to worry about anything because I got what looks like my nigga with me. So we do that when I want to go to the movies and see something. And he has a big ass dick. So if I'm ever feeling horny, you know, we can hook up. Well, I met him at work. I met him at work, and he's sweet. He's so sweet, but you know, it's a annoying down low level to him as well. Like he, not now, but back in the day, he used to lie to his mama about me. He used to lie to his friends about me. You know, there's a down low. Yeah, there's an annoying down low level to him, but you know, and I couldn't be with Denethan because I fucked his best friend and I fucked his cousin. Pop job. So I could never be in a relationship with him because, you know, I've went through many of his friends. Because, you know, in 10 years, when you have played the when you have played the, you know, it was a time in our friendship where I was playing with the idea. Yeah, I've had Red Dragon. But I'm not talking about just putting my words on the canvas. It's a little bit deeper than that. But there was a time in our relationship where I was playing with the idea of us being in a relationship. But during that time, he was playing these silly ass down low nigga games, like lying to people. Yeah, he was lying to people about what we were. Like if his mama would call, his mama would call his mama and he would lie and say we weren't together, like in not together in relationship, but say I'm not, like say he wasn't with me. Like he would be on the phone while I'm with him and he'll lie and say where he's at. Or he do it with his friends. And when I asked why did he do that, it was because I was trans and they knew I was trans. And so that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. You know, I can't, no. And so because he was playing that game, when his homies would try to holler at me previously, I would be like, no, I'm talking to your friend. But once he got to playing, oh, that's just my friend, and being on that shady down low shit, oh, well, let me show you what friends do. Since you're just my friend, I can fuck your friend. Because you're just my friend. You're not my man. So I can fuck him if I want to fuck him. Your cousin that asked me for, your fine cousin that asked me for my number in front of you, I can give her my number because we just friends. Right? So, and that's how I would play him. And so, he felt some kind of way about it, but oh well, we're not gonna be together. So, what's up? So yes, I messed with his cousin, and I messed with his best friend. So fine. I would have wanted the best friend before him. You're a young woman. You're supposed to sow your royal oats. Exactly, honey. That's what it is. I want to hear about your twirling days. Trying to think. That's not me. That's Ty. She got in more twirls than I did. But yeah, I had to twirl in college. I had to twirl in high school. Got to twirl your boyfriends. Yeah, so much twirling. Trauma. You're trying to be a classy nonviolent woman, and people try your pussy. A gospel singer. Yeah, right. What else? Yeah. What about that book? We already talked about the book. You gotta know it's coming, and I'm working on it. That's the tea. What I'm trying to do, come on, and I'm in talks with somebody, with a publishing deal. So stuff is happening, y'all. It just stuff comes in due time. And if I can make some coins from it in advance, that's what we're trying to do. So yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, I'm trying to grow my brand. So it's a couple of things that I've done in recent years. So I work with BET. So if you haven't seen it, I want y'all to go to it and pick your phones up right. Ooh. Go to Instagram. Don't open up Twitter. Y'all know the girl from Pose, Haley Sahar. It is her Pose. I think her Instagram. Yeah, Haley Sahar, the girl that plays Lulu. If you go to her page, she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is this the one? This video.
When I got the audition for Pose, I was actually heading to New York to do a play.
So that video I helped produce into it. The script of how the words went on the page, like on the video that you see, is 4 parts. I think it's 4 parts on there that she posted up. Think it's 4 parts? Yes. All the ones that are fluid, that project is what I got paid almost 6 G's for. And it was my first time working with BET. And they are, hey, Diamond, how are you? We need to talk, Diamond, bitch. What is going on? You been acting shady. You ain't called me. We ain't kiki. We ain't did nothing, bitch. What's the tea? I need to see what's going on with your life, honey. How is, what's going on, girl? So go to the page. If y'all go to that video, any one of them videos, go say, hey, you know, you know, Diamond brought me here just for y'all to watch it. So yes, I think it's 4 parts. Another thing that I did, um, uh, hold on. Um, uh, what else? If you go to, yes, I remember. If you go to the Smithsonian's Facebook page, they have a sector of videos um, called God Talks. It is a conversation with millennials about religion and stuff like that. Um, and I'm not a producer of that, but I was a guest on that panel, and they are creating an oral history for the archive of the African American Museum, the Smithsonian, and I'm going to be in that archive, and we already did a video for it, and they released it on. I was on 2 panels discussing religion and being a millennial and stuff like that, and that is on the Smithsonian's Facebook page, and the series is called God Talks, and we're discussing religion. So that's from the Smithsonian. It hasn't came out yet, but if you follow me, I spoke at Stanford in February, right before I went to Mexico. February the 25th. And it was my first time speaking at Stanford, y'all. Stanford. Oh my God. Just so amazing. I never would have thought that I would be speaking at Stanford because it's Stanford. And there me with my box and my Toni Morrison shoulder pads. If the picture is on Marsha's play, they recorded it and the video will be out soon. So I'm just trying to build my brand up and I'm just trying to do things to build my brand up because I don't do antics. And this is not shade, but I don't do 21 inches stuff. More about politics and feminism and trans socio-economic stuff, socio-political stuff. That's not necessarily gonna be a viral type of thing. Even back in the day when I had viral videos, like if you go to my page, my most popular videos is when I was doing stupid stuff. Like one of my popular video when I was mimicking Nicki Minaj, and it got me exposure, but they weren't here for me talking about trans stuff. So that's not it's just in the way that I discuss things. It's not something that's going to be viral. And so I'm trying to build my audience in different sectors. And so once I do that, that's when it's time to, release things. Makes sense? And also, let's see what else. And also, if you didn't follow me, I did an article for Essence. It's old, but it came out in September. I did an article for Essence about Dave Chappelle called Sticks and Stones. and words hurt marginalized people. It is given a critique of his, his stand up where he was calling us the alphabet people. And I did an article for Essence, my brand up and do things, intellectual things, because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be a buffoon. I don't want to be, that's other people's bag. I don't want to be, yeah, I'm a little bit more serious and I guess educational. And when I was trying to do that, it didn't feel comfortable. So I'm just trying to dig into another bag, in another type of bag, in another arena. Makes sense? I hope y'all understand. Yeah. You've never been the blackface. You're a come master type. You always stood for equal rights and being treated with respect and dignity. I've always told you the time. Yeah. And my life has been comfortable. My life has been, for the past, like I said, why my 30s are boring. All those stories that I told y'all about was about my teens. My mama was going through an addiction, so there was a lot of drama going on. My 20s, I was uh, going through homelessness, bad relationship, escorting. So there was a lot of stuff going on. My 30s was when the first time I was stable. When I started YouTube in 2008. So I was becoming like a stable person. I stopped escorting in 2009. Um, I got a job at Bath and Body Works in 2011. And then I stayed at Bath and Body Works for 8 years. And then I got into the nonprofit sector recently. And so, yeah, it's been quite stable. My life has been quite stable and quite boring and quite nothing happening, which I like. Which I like. Why do you think the gay thing is such a hot topic in the Black community? Why do Black men have such policing around their masculinity? That's a very classic question. I don't think that the gay thing is more of a hot topic in the Black community compared to other communities. I don't think it's more. I think that there is a particular, as Patricia Hill Collins would say, a particular matrix of domination when it comes to Black people. And if you are a Black person in the Black community, because you are in our community, you're going to see more of our indiscretions than you see white people. So your perspective may be that we are harsher on gayness, but you're not a gay white person. If you talk to a gay white person, the white people in their life are the ones who are homophobic. If you talk to a gay white person, it's going to be their community who was against them and bullying them because they were in the white community. And so if you're a Black person in a Black community, of course, the people that is going to be funny to you is going to be the Black people. So it's going to be a perception that's a little bit different. Now, there is a little different elements when it comes to how racism depicts Black men as the uber masculine thing. They're criminal. They're dark, big, and scary. They're not feminine at all. They're, there's a image thing that's happening with Black men that that makes them uber masculine. Then you add the image thing where how you represent white people don't have they have a certain level of freedom. Jeffrey Dahmer being a serial killer does not reflect on the whole white community. White people being in an opioid crisis and getting addicted to opioids, it's not reflecting the whole white community. But the crack epidemic that happened in the 80s, that gave a stereotype to all of the black community. It made us all look like we welfare queens and super predators, and how we represent. We don't have the luxury that our indiscretions don't represent the whole community. So as a black male, when you don't represent the perfect black male stereotype, you're going to get policed because homophobia exists, but also racism exists that says, A, you are not representing us well. And black people feed into that. Not everyone, and I'm overgeneralizing, but it's a lot. Black people feed into that. You are not representing us well. You are demasculating the images of black male. And we already got these white motherfuckers fucking up our image. We don't need you to come in and undermine it from the inside by being this feminine thing, by being this homosexual. That's not right. That's not okay. And they're invested in the toxic beliefs of the church. Even if they're not churchy, there's a way people can be culturally Christian but don't practice Christianity. They can be culturally Christian. My mother was one of them, where culturally they still uphold these ideals from the church, but they don't go to church. And you can be culturally Christian. Do you mean hypermasculinity? If not true, then how can we have so much death of trans women, brown and black, in our community? Any type of disparity is going to be exacerbated in the black community because of multiple things. There's layers to being a black woman: racism, sexism, transphobia, and homophobia. You feel what I'm saying? So we have these intersections more than other groups. So whatever problems are going to be exacerbated in our community. We're going to be put in situations more often than our non-black counterparts to be in danger by someone toxic. That's just the nature of how those intersections works. It's not that black men are more. White trans women get killed more often by white men. Do you see what I'm saying? Black, it's like domestic abuse. Let me give you domestic abuse is a perfect example. Domestic abuse, a black woman, cisgender or trans, is more likely to be in a domestic violence situation or killed by their intimate partner than non-black people. Only people who is below us is Native American. But in regards to like other races other than Native American, we are more likely to be murdered by our intimate partner, cisgender and transgender. Okay, CDC put that research out in 2015. You can look that up. But if you go to look at just the whites, look at just the Latinx, just the Asians, who is abusing them are men in their community. There's some exceptions, but most people who are being abused, they're being abused by somebody in their community. So most of us as trans women don't, just like cisgender black women, we're the least likely to date outside of our race. Are there exceptions? Absolutely. But we are the least likely to date outside of our race. So when we have a domestic violence situation, it's going to be a black man. And we're not exempt. I'm not trying to. There are examples, like the white girl that got killed at the beginning of this year. She got killed by a white man. What I'm telling you is it's going to be exacerbated in our community. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's equal to the numbers of people who are dying is equal to whites. But I can't, you just was talking about misogyny and breasts. I can't take you seriously. Just like you can't take me seriously because my breast is out. You don't, to me, you don't seem like you have the intelligence to even know that that's stupid. So why would you have the intelligence to know to understand what I'm talking about? Like, to keep it real. I just, I don't know. It seems weird. Unfortunately, Black men are not allowed the liberty to be anything other than masculine. That is also true. How Black men's masculinity is policed is way different than how white men's police. That's why even in the Black community, we joke, oh, white men can do all of that freaky shit. That's what they into. They can do all of that. White men been eating pussy and eating ass for centuries. Black men just started being open about that. I remember in the 80s and the 90s, dudes want to talk about eating pussy and eating ass openly. They would be lying about it. But it was comic relief and comically talked about in our communities that white men do all that freaky stuff. They get to be a little bit free. They get to be freer than other communities. And so the masculinity is going to be policed in a different way. This doesn't give them an excuse or say that that's okay, but it's an explanation of why some of these disparities could exist. It's kind of like Black girls. Like we talk about. I live in both communities. I live in an upper middle class community. We're Belshore, Long Beach, California, white gay couple. I've never seen anything like that. A white gay couple, there's not going to be anything like that in like a trans person, those experiences. Those are you're talking about a Black trans woman and comparing them to a white gay couple? Like you're not, those are two different experiences. It's going to be different. And a queer gay couple. And it's going to be different for a white trans woman. Because she only dealing with transphobia and homophobia. What else? She's not dealing with racism. And she'll be dealing with racism, yeah. But that's why she was killed by her husband. Her white everything. Yeah, definitely. It changed. I changed how my house reflected who I wanted to see. Maryland was representative of beauty, but I wanted to have other forms of beauty. And so like now I have Black trans people, Black queer people, you know, Black women like an overabundance of masculinity, especially if it's destructive to some of them. I hope that's what you meant. Yeah, I think you are like a hotep. I think you are somebody who takes a small portion of a community and blanket over the whole community. And what I'm talking about is things that have been researched. And that's why I cited the CDC for you, so you can go look it up. I don't just speak from, I think Black women like No, I'm not telling you what black women like. I'm telling you what the research, the data, the numbers says about the disparity between black trans women and other trans women and cisgender women of the black experience and the other ones. I'm telling you the correlation between the two and the numbers, the research shows, not what I think or what I've seen. Have I seen black women who like masculine men? Yes, but that's not the norm. That's crazy. That's weird. like, like it's strange. So, you know, when let me think. Who else? I think that we have to. When we talk about. You just have to. There's tons of things that I believed about black people when I was younger because I hadn't done the research on why or saw the data or hadn't read books and I hadn't seen. So for perfect example, um, not yet, not yet. Um, a perfect example is when I was younger and I went to a black school. When I would see girls, little black girls, in my mind, I would be like, oh, they so damn ghetto. Why they so loud? Why they so bad? Why it's always them? Blah 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 blah. Because I was going by what I saw. I was going by even though at the same time I was seeing bad white girls. But because I was more invested in the black girls because they were black girls like me, I didn't care what the white girls was doing. I didn't care. So I saw black girls acting ghetto, acting loud, da 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 da. So in my mind, I'm like, why is she so bad? Why is she so ghetto? Why is she so loud? And so the stereotype in my mind is these little ghetto ass little black girls were ghetto, loud, blah, 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 blah. But when I grow up and I become a black girl and I see how somebody could do something to me and I'm justifiably angry because somebody has done something to me, how somebody could see it in a way, see me as the angry black woman, see me as the angry black girl, even though I'm responding to somebody doing something wrong to me. And you're not going to experience that if you're not a black woman. You may experience it in another way, like if you're a gay man, you might experience it like that. But as a black woman, that's a unique misogynoir that happens in our life. That happens. And so when I got older and I read books like Monique Moore's, it's called Pushed Out, and when you're pushed, it's about how little black girls or school age black girls are pushed out of school into it's like a school to prison pipeline. They're pushed out of school, suspended, and they're not looking into the trauma that they're going through at home. They're being racist, they're being shady. And so it would look like, based on what the teachers are saying, based on what people are doing, it would look like these little black girls are just loud and angry and ghetto, but they are responding to somebody mistreating them. They're responding to trauma that they're going through at home. Do the data and do the research, you realize this is what's going on. And so me growing up and going to school and experiencing these things, experiencing some of these nuances, living as a black woman, I started to see them things and I didn't realize it when I was younger. I had these stereotypes about negative stereotypes, internalized anti-Blackness. And I had to go through the process of unlearning the stereotypes. I had to go through the process of actually getting the data, actually getting, you just go by the arrest and not why, then you could think that, oh, Black people are more criminal. They get arrested more. But if you're not adding racism and adding capitalism, how it's been investigated and shown that cops have a quota to meet. And so they put them in neighborhoods that they can stop people for traffic tickets because, oh, you ain't had enough stops. You ain't had enough stops. So you need to go out and patrol and stop some people and get some tickets. And that the business side of the law creates problems, and capitalism, and not create capitalism, but it's a capitalistic thing that makes them go out there race not. Or you think that they do drugs more than white people. But the white people you remember that lady when it getting caught up, the houses that we sell drugs out of is trap houses and crack houses, Baby, they were calling that one girl who got killed, who overdosed, she had a cocaine condo. The article read a cocaine condo. Like even like white folks ain't been doing cocaine for years. We're talking about it in a different way. But just think of how we're talking about the opioid crisis. When we talk about the opioid crisis, nobody is talking about the opioid crisis now like they were talking about the crack epidemic. The opioid crisis now, because it affects a lot of white people, they're like, oh, we need resources to help these people with the disease of addiction. We need to help them. But with Black people, it was like what Hillary and Clinton say, they're super predators. We got to get these people out the street and be tough on drugs and tough on crime. 3 strikes and you're out and you're going to prison, blah, 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 blah. You feel what I'm saying? Okay. Let's see. What did you say? What do you think about people like Tariq Nasheed? I don't listen to them buffoons. They are coons to me. They have no feminist analysis. They are Black patriarchs. They don't want to dismantle the system around gender oppression. They want to dismantle the system around racial oppression. So there's a lot of Black men like this. They don't want to dismantle the system. They just want to replace white men. They want the system to be exactly the same. They want to oppress women. They want to be the kangs. They want you to be barefoot and pregnant, cooking and cleaning and treating them like a king and being silly, being oppressed and silly based on gender. They don't want to dismantle the system in regards to how this system treats women. They just want to replace white men. So people like Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson and those people, they are homophobes, they are misogynists, and they are tired and late. So I don't follow them. I know who they are because you can't help but see it when they say something stupid, somebody post it. I definitely think they are harmful to women. Some of when they are talking about race, like most Black men that I know, when they're talking about race, they have an amazing analysis. Not the woke ones. I mean the woke ones, not the coons, like the whack ones. But they have an amazing analysis when it revolves race, but they don't have an amazing analysis when it comes to gender oppression. They don't see, they have no feminine. What causes you to be that? Absolutely the facts. It's like they try to gaslight Black people and call us argumentative. Absolutely, right? They totally do. The funny thing about transitioning when I was young, I was attracted to the men that were in my community. Most of those men were hustlers, drug dealers, and they were the examples I consider men to be. Absolutely, Diamond. I also, because this is because I was a trans woman, I wanted my womanhood to be validated. So I wanted to have the biggest, the blackest, the thuggiest, the gangsterest, the stereotypes about masculinity. I wanted that type of guy on my arm, because if he chose me, if I could turn him out, then my womanhood was validated through that man. So I don't want you to have no curly hair. I don't want you to be pretty. I don't want a pretty boy. I want you to be super masculine. I want you, whatever the stereotypes of masculinity, that's what I want you to be. Drug dealer, thug, ratchet, ghetto, fight all the time. I wanted that type of dude. I wanted to tame the beast because of my femininity, and it validated my womanhood. That was my mindset in my teens. That's what I want in early 20s, whack and fake. And it didn't work for me. It was something, I wasn't secure in my womanhood. And I needed other things around me to secure, to secure a particular image. And so I definitely don't have that now. Okay, my sleepy pills are kicking in. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Happy Easter. Bruh, I set a reminder for the live at 10:30 and then took a phone call at 10:35. I can't believe y'all still in here, and it's lit as fuck. Yeah, this is long. Black cis men actually like the white men of the black community. Absolutely, you're totally right. They are the white people of the black community. Absolutely, they don't see, especially when it comes to gender. I feel like Jerry Springer had an underrated negative effect on the trans community, like huge. Let me see. How do I explain this? Okay. That is a good point. That is ammo. That is a good point. But let me give you not a different way to think about it, but let me make some parallels for you. So Jerry Springer, absolutely, the way he presented transness on a national stage, of them tricking, of them fighting, of them being ghetto. We weren't the only one being used on his stage like that, but just for the trans community. That was a negative point of view, but it put us on a national stage where people knew that we existed. And so the positive is, although it was a negative image, that put it to a level where people were talking about it on a cultural level. It wasn't just now it was getting into the mainstream. And you have to go through to get out of the subculture, you have to go through a process, usually a negative process. You have to go through a process of getting acclimated into the mainstream culture. For example, when we talk about Black people getting into films, getting their story told, there was a certain palatable story. When we talk about Hattie McDaniels playing the slave and Mammy looking thing on Gone with the Wind, when we talk about the story, when we see that story, that was more palatable to the racist white. If we would have tried to do the Huxtables in 1950, it wouldn't have worked. It needed to be it would work for us. We would know this is the reality. But for the white people to accept it, it had to go through that process. It had to go through that process of to the powers that be, to the powers that be, the white people that control the image. It had to be, because you would hear some of them say, like when they would try to do more realistic, like on Good Times, Dynamite, that shit was corny as fuck, and James Amos didn't like that shit. And it got to a point where even the dude hit Dynamite, he didn't want to do it, where it started to be real coonish, and they didn't. One of the reasons why James left the show, it started to be coonish. They started to be acting like coons. When we talk about living single, there's an interview that J.C. Carson, the dude that played Kyle Barker, I talked to him, but I listened to an interview with him where he was talking about how they were trying to make Overton and him into these like cool characters next to these strong black women. And they both of them agreed that they didn't want to do it. In the beginning, they started it. And then once it started to be problematic, it was like, no, we don't want to do this. So sometimes you don't have the power to do that, but it takes time to make that change. And look at what has happened over the 20 decades since Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer was popping in the mid 95. So in a 25-year span, we got a whole show because of those little deal, trans woman with a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix, Janet Mock. We got bestsellers on the New York Times book. There is I think there is a process. That process could be short, that process could be long, but all minority people are going through that process. When we look at how Black women have been seen, when we look at how positions Black women are in playing roles and outside of the old stereotypes, it has taken time to get the mainstream culture to accept us in different roles. And I think that's happening with all minority people. Look at how Asians are coming along. They still kind of, when it comes to image, they still kind of oppressed. I can see that. Do you like my avatar? I can't really see it in this small screen. Yeah, I can't see what it is in this small screen. That is I'm a Black trans man who happens to be gay. I struggle deeply in spaces with Black men because I can only see them through the eyes of someone who was raised as a Black woman, which gives you a level of safety for you to be aware of danger. It was always said that, is there any advice? I don't think I struggle deeply in spaces with Black men because I can only see them. So do you see them as a threat? Is that what are you seeing them as a threat? I think you should be cautious around men just because we know what the statistics say. You got to be careful. It's not all men, but you still have to be careful. And that's not saying that you can't build loving relationships with healthy, safe, particularly Black men, because I know some loving, healthy, safe Black men. I know some. And so it's not that you can't, but there's so many out here that are toxic. They're like landmines. You have to be careful. I don't think that that's I don't think that's a lens that I would give up. I would want to have my guard up. Honestly, that's just what it is. So my advice is to keep the guard up, but don't keep it up so much that nobody. Who the fuck is 80 fucking messages? Oh, y'all tripping. I think that it's good to keep yourself safe. I think you keeping yourself safe, keeping yourself I think it's important to keep yourself safe. I don't know. That's all my only advice. Don't be open. Don't be guarded so much that you are not open to building friendships and building relationships and building love relationships. But also understand that how you were raised is going to affect it. That's just, you can't get around that. And how men engage with each other sexually in the gay community is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. They are definitely a little bit more open, a little bit more freer. So, you're coming out of the rules of being a woman to the freedom of being, especially in a loving and sexual relationship, to the freedom of being a gay man. That's real different to get used to. I guess it's just like a trans woman opening up her door and shaking your tins, yelling, "Is it on? Is it on?" Yeah. And even that, like when we talk about Hmm. I ain't gonna do that. That's very true. I see what you're saying. I hope you're not mad. I'm not mad at all. You didn't. I just think your questioning is weird. Not weird. Like I haven't heard it before. It's very hotepish. Like it's is when you say you're a trans person. Your name is George Trusty, but if you're actually a trans person, you have a weird mindset around, you have a really anti-black mindset, and it's too much information, it's too many books that needs to be read. If you have questions, I don't mind answer them, but if you're on such a 101 level when it's about race, it's kind of annoying. It seems like you're trolling. It seems like you need to do a little bit more work. I'm like, it's like some things are just basic and you don't even have the basics. And so, I mean, yeah, that's what it was. I guess I'm a little bit bitter. I feel like it always better not to trust anyone right now, to be honest. Um, Bomb and Gilead was my song. Her vocals was crazy. Yes, Karen was love. Um, what else? I guess it's a little. Um, I'm not bitter. I've had some great love experiences in my life, so I know it's possible. But where I am now in my life, and we're gonna end off here. Shit, we're almost 2.5 hours. Shit. Um, where I'm at now in my life is I don't I don't have the patience. Hey Tia, I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience with dudes anymore. Not like I did when I was younger. It's not really about trust. I just don't have time to figure out if you a good nigga or if you're not. Cause soon as I see something whack, I'm out. I just don't have the patience. It's not for me, and that's where I'm at now. You are welcome. All right, so we got. I'm going to end at 2:30. Yeah, so we got 6 minutes, not six, 7. So what's 6 minutes? Make sure you got thumbs up. If y'all are on Instagram, you can follow me, Diamond Styles, DIA. You can listen to my podcast, Marsha's Plate. All my links are in the bottom, so you can check it out. Thumbs up. What else? Trying to think of what I got going on. We're doing a lot of stuff. Also, I'm gonna put a link. If you are a trans person in the South, I am going to put a link that if you need COVID relief, if you don't know, I am the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. And if you need some COVID relief, child, we have some funds for you to apply for. Let me get the link for y'all. One second, one second, one second. I have had a taste of sorrow. From the past I've heard, somehow it almost felt. Let's see if that works. So yes, if you are trans and you're in the South, we are going to go through the application and call you and do a video chat with you to make sure, because another organization, cis people um, were being shady. Yes, I'm giving you a Black Paula Deen when she was young. Our COVID-19 grants, we're giving like $125 to people. So don't think we're gonna give you $1 million. We ain't got no stimulus check money, but we're giving out $125. Or if it's a smaller thing that you need, just so we can help more people. So if you don't need 125, um, um, we're trying to help with the pool. We had to cancel our conference because of COVID-19, so we have money. We got some resources that we want to give to Black trans people in the South, because if you don't know about um, the Southern region gets about 8% of the nonprofit funding compared to West Coast and East Coast. So we want to help, and numbers of disparities are higher in the South. When we talk about HIV, when we talk about homelessness, when we talk about, a lot of things. When you're in the South, it's a lot of things that we don't have help with. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of we're a Southern organization. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our Southern girls during COVID. So make sure you fill it out if you are in any state in the South, particularly Texas. Did you get any backlash on your Malaysia Booker video from other organizations? No, I didn't. I was telling the truth. No, I didn't. I had my receipts. Everybody knew what was going on. That shady ass, Oregon, Dallas. They were being, and they still being shady. But I had my receipts, so people knew what was going on. But anyway, I'm about to get up off here. We've been on here for 2.5 hours. Damn. So thank y'all for watching and chilling with me, and talking and being cool. And I'll see y'all next Friday.